Welcome to the Shoe Tree Brewcast, where we talk about the latest in all things shoe tree. Also, sometimes we talk about mushrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Jeff and Paul Young.
All right. Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
All right, so we got a new setup. We're
a little
hoping.
Bit of a new rig.
We've
kind of looks the same to them, probably, but
yeah,
different for us.
Different electronic stuff. So
yep.
Hopefully this is a little bit better, and we aren't recording this podcast like the last one for nothing, because none of our audio came out on the last one.
Yep. So hopefully this is working out good.
Yeah. So what do we got?
Jump into the beer roundup.
Yeah.
So Fruit Snacks is back on draft and in cans, both locations.
And that's selling like hotcakes too.
Yep.
So get in here and get it while it's still around.
The Munich Dunkel's about out in Carson, and it's on now in Minden.
Okay.
Coming up from Minden, we have a pale ale. That should be going on at both places probably sometime next week. We have the Mexican lager in cans, and we're just waiting for spots to open up for it to go on draft, but you can grab it in cans currently at both locations and soon to be on draft. Bauer down in Minden brewed a session hoppy lager. We followed up another batch of the Handshake King because it was moving so quick. And we have the ingredient that we couldn't source for a while for Cocoa Burrito. So we have a beer that needs to get out of a tank, so probably sometime next week we'll brew it. And so probably 2 to 3 weeks, some sort of Cocoa Burrito will be back.
Oh, I know some people that are going to be excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. So
the other thing in Carson, or brewed in Carson, that'll be coming probably next week, will be the Blue Barb.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about
rhubarb.
that.
Yeah, yep. It's clarifying with all the rhubarb and blueberry. It's real hazy still, so we're waiting for it to clear out, but really nice sour, like tang. The blueberry and the rhubarb go together nice. We were a little worried about how tart the rhubarb was by itself. So
but it worked nice.
It was good. It came out nice. So another kind of fun, kind of following up the straw nana. Another fun fruited sour we hadn't done yet. So
yeah, keep an
eye out for that. Like Jeff said, probably early next week. Just for the PPC members, growlers and glasses and cards are here if you haven't grabbed yours yet. T-shirts and hats are on the way. Just taking a little while longer to source the garments just due to the supply chain. And then other than that, we can talk about the new canner that we got.
Yeah, so that's really coming along nicely. At first, it was a little bit of a headache setting it up, but that's just with anything, I think. And but really not as bad as I anticipated. So it's going a lot smoother than I thought. Working the kinks out, learning something new every time we run it, and we're already getting pretty fast on it. So I think that pretty soon we're going to be knocking a bunch of cans out.
Yeah, we ordered from a company that's relatively new, from what I've seen. They're called Fillmore Containers. And for us, it was just a good value on a counter pressure filled filler. So that just means it's filled under pressure, which just means more consistent fill levels, less likely to foam during filling. So that was important. And then it also allows them to vacuum purge and then purge with CO2 really well. So we should have a more shelf-stable product. We were really happy with how rudimentary our first canner was. Our beers were able to stay on the shelf as they were, but this is just even better. So
yeah, really excited about it.
We had that, and then we worked on different packaging, different breweries when we were coming up, and just out of the box, I was really impressed. Like it was like the simplest dialing in, like, oh, this line is foamy, and it's literally like turn your pressure up a little bit, not like raise or lower heads or mess with any of that kind of stuff. So out of the box, I've just been really impressed. And then dealing with the labeler is probably the most tricky part, is getting that dialed in. But
but that's actually coming along nicely too.
Yeah,
so.
You just find the little sensor that's not mounted right, and you tighten that up, and all of a sudden things start to work a little better. And then see when it gets mad, Like I noticed yesterday, it got humid, and it like caused condensation on the label, and it messed up some sensors on the labeler. So those little stuff like that, you just learn with practice on it. So it's exciting, but like you said, we're going to be cranking more cans out. It makes it easier for us to get more cans done in a day. So just kind of updating everyone. I think if they watched the weekly last week, you kind of got to see the new canner in use.
Action.
So that's kind of all we got for the big stuff going around this week. Beer wise and equipment wise.
Yeah, so we got the canner going, the beers that are coming out, the Mexican lager. I really like this label. So some people, we had these like 2 rolls of labels just sitting around, and we usually wait till Cinco to brew either Amigos or Mexican lager, and we decided why let them go to waste, and kind of brewed. And we needed a lager, so we brewed it kind of out of season, but just for fun. So kind of a fun surprise for the Mexican lager fans. Yeah, but I really like the label too. The colors pop, really clear font. So it's a great label, and these bad boys came off the new canner.
Yeah, so off the new canner, and
I think pretty much now all the cans you should be getting. Yeah,
unless it was just something. I think. Like maybe a couple 4-packs of Stouticus hanging on. But,
right.
It'll rotate out quick, and it'll be all off the new canner. So.
All right. So all that, you got the PPP stuff? Or PPC?
Got that handled.
Right on. So then I guess we have to transition a little bit. We had a kind of a loss in the Shoe Tree family, which was a bit of a shock and a bit of a bummer. We lost regular of ours, Bob, and he'd been coming in since almost day one. Just way back in the days when you and Jessica were bartending, and I'm in the back just brewing. He'd been here, I mean, like every day. He was a fixture.
Yeah, when we first opened up, he was, he had a part-time, he was retired, but he drove, parts around for Napa, and just to keep busy. And on his days off, we would see him right when we opened, and he'd have like a pint or two, and then he'd go down to the Gold Dust and place a bet or something, and then finish with a pint or two. And got to know him really well. He actually, I didn't know at the time, but then I figured out he's my old boss's brother-in-law, so he knew all them and stuff, and so
small town
stuff. And so I got to know Bob, and we just couldn't ask for a better customer. He would be sitting at the bar, and if I'm like filling growlers, someone walked in, Bob would be like, "Hey, have you guys been in before? It's the best beer. It's so fresh." Like he was like our number one salesman, and he would just talk us up and everything, and that kind of means a lot when you're first starting out. You have someone that bought in and backing you and believing what you do. And so couldn't be more thankful for Bob and what he brought to Shoe Tree. And we know a ton of the customers knew Bob, because you walk out at noon, you see a lot of familiar faces right when we opened up, and they all knew each other and had fun and chatted, and that's kind of what it was about. And later on, you couldn't drink as much, and he would still come down and like have a ginger ale or a
I mean, that's what kind of guy he was, just to still support us even though he wasn't drinking. He'd come down, grab a soda or whatever, and he will be sorely missed. He was a good guy, and we're gonna miss him for sure.
So and then some of the regulars that know him, I'll be in touch personally. We're gonna have a little after his service here coming up, where his family will be in the rec room, but all the the regulars that knew him and hung out are welcome to come to that too.
Oh, that'll be nice.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, couldn't be more grateful to have Bob and have him be with Shoe Tree, and then couldn't be more heartbroken to have him
lose him. Yeah, it's still weird, like I seen a little Ford Ranger driving around, and
his little white Ford
Ranger.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's Bob, and then I'm like, oh,
yeah. Yeah, the other day I was walking in our little side door, and you kind of peek into the brewery, and I saw this like white hair, and like you're just like, I was up, and you're like, oh, whoa. So
yeah,
it's still that early weird thing where it's just like, it's odd because like, I mean, it was like, I don't know how to explain it. You come to Shoe Tree, and when we're first open, Bob is there. So when you walk out, it's kind of like, it's weird to not have him be in his spot. So
he will be missed. We're gonna miss you, Bob. We hope you're up at the Shoe Tree Heaven location.
Yeah, the
right
Shoe
now.
Tree Heaven location. Yeah, one time when I was bartending, he was like, "I'm getting up there, Paul. I'll tell you what, man. I'll be real happy if heaven has a shoe tree in it." And so I was like, dang, man, that means a lot. Just to him, like heaven was hanging out at the bar, chatting with his buddies, watching the game, having a beer. So, to be a part of that is just real big. And like you said, we miss Bob a lot. And
we hope that's what he's doing now.
That's what we hope.
What he loves. So. And I guess change gears a little bit from Bob. We'll do a quick
10 Gallon Spores update.
Yeah, quick update on 10 Gallon Spores. We got the Laminar flow vent hood. It's essentially a fan that blows a controlled airflow through a filter and essentially gives you clean air to work in. And this is going to allow us to do some things like agar plates, which are like petri dishes where you grow the mycelium, and then you can kind of harvest better genetics that way, and also weed out some contaminants if you have that. Mushrooms and spores are just inherently kind of dirty, and you tend to get some contamination with those, and that's a way that you're able to kind of weed that out. So we're excited to be doing that, and it looks really cool. I'd like to post some pictures. We don't have any, but we should just post some on 10 Gallon Spores of other people's plays. Yeah, Sean's. And those are really cool looking. They're just these round petri dishes. And then the mycelium grows out almost like a snowflake,
Yeah.
And each one's different. Every time they look a little different, and they're kind of cool to look at. So we hope to get some pictures of that. And then we're going to be growing up, into liquid culture and grain spawn from that. So we're excited to be kind of advancing our technique a little bit.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is like if we have a bag of what's called grain spawn, where we have to break that up and then inoculate 3 or 4
Transfer
bags.
It, yeah.
You can do that in front of the hood, and it cuts down on the contamination, big time on that. So, because it doesn't take much, one little thing of mold, and then that whole
eventually it will.
It's crazy. So, it's just a fun little update, and like you said, allows us to be a little more clean, a little more. Get it more to a professional level as we're testing things out. So,
and then in our new fruiting tank, we've got like 3 blocks going. One is a blue oyster, one is a king oyster, and 1 lion's mane. And they, we started to get a fruit on the blue oyster, and then bad luck would have it, the humidifier crapped out on us.
Yeah,
and it did not. It was like one day, I think. And it was a Sunday where we weren't here and didn't catch it, so that sucker dried up, and it did not like that. So we're going to cut that off. It should do a second flush, and hopefully we'll get a fruit off that. The king oyster is just not wanting to fruit for some reason. We're going to have to do a little research into that. I'm not sure. It may still. It looks like it should be for sure. It is totally white.
Covered.
Yeah. the lion's mane actually started fruiting inside the bag, and then because the conditions inside the bag don't get air exchange, it did what's called coral growth inside there, and so we had poked some holes, but it just is not chasing that. So I went ahead and got a little more assertive on it and put some X's in there with the hopes that this thing will push out and get some fresh air and grow like a traditional lion's mane. But it's still fun to watch, and even these mistakes you learn a lot from, and you just keep going, and that's where we're at. We're just like, it's fun to watch it, fun to see it, and I'm just hoping we get some fruit off these ones. But if we don't, we got some more coming up. I got some enoki that's getting ready to get transferred, and that's looking really good. I'm going to transfer that to a substrate, and I'm really excited about that. That's like a cold weather mushroom, and they grow, the particular ones we got, they grow kind of tall and skinny. Yep. And you see them a lot like in Japanese cuisine or like ramens and stuff. So keep looking for that. We haven't had some posts on 10 Gallon Spores for a bit because we had all of our blocks went down because this other tent was just not adequate, and then we had to get the new tent going and kind of get that going. But I'd love to take some pictures of this, maybe even today, some of the, like the king oyster, how white that block is, and get that posted. Plus, we took video of us getting our Laminar flow vent, and we got a spot for it now, and we're going to unbox it. We'll take video of that, and it's going to kind of be like Christmas. So we'll unwrap that little present and then get that thing up and running, and just watch the social media, and we'll be having some more posts, and you can follow along on there.
Right on.
I think that's going to do it.
That's going to wrap it up this week. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.